Hey guys, so thanks for joining this impromptu live stream. I've had a look. This is literally my first live stream since April of 2023, which is kind of ridiculous, but I only tend to do them when I've got something that I think is worth doing a live stream on. And it is an exciting time if you're a Power Rangers fan at the moment. Playmates are launching in a big way the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Reignition line. It's the first sign of life we've had from the Power Rangers toy line in like 2 years. At the same time, Funko are doing some amazing pops for the Power Rangers movie 30th anniversary. There's signs of life, guys. For the first time in a long time, there's signs of life. And I went to my local Toymaster, having seen lots of other people in the UK had been finding them. And yeah, they had all the villains. They had the Automorphin Red, Blue, and Black Rangers. They didn't have the girls. They didn't have the Green Ranger. I do want to get the Automorphing Green Ranger, as I said on my Insta story yesterday. I think he'll actually fit in quite well with the villain side of this. It would be nice just to have it for comparison's sake. And also, I like the idea of it being like a different Green Ranger with the shield molded on, rather than the old vintage version that you had to kind of clip on in pieces. Obviously, Hasbro did their own version of that just a couple years back, but yeah, I didn't buy any of those. But now we've got a whole line, and literally the only line going. So yeah, I'm a bit more interested this time than I was that time when we also had obviously the collector's focus line going on. Um, Playmates are also going to be doing their action figure versions, which have more, shall we say, normal proportions than the Automorphins. No sign of those yet. I do wonder, are those going to scale better with these? Because it looks like to me like the Automorphins are a little big, but we're going to find out. And obviously, you can see here I've got all. It took me a while to find them all, but I got out all my Bandai and Hasbro versions of these characters that we've had over the last 32 years. Ugh. Um, so yeah, without further ado, let's get unboxing. Do keep your questions coming in during the live stream. I'll try and answer them as we go. Obviously, I'm going to be looking here though. Also, I've just noticed that on the back of the Goldar box, the H in Morphin doesn't seem to be printed. So maybe that's a sign to start with Goldar. Okay, just checking on the chat. A lot of you here, that's quite nice. The one cookie just turned 10 a.m. here. Well, it's 4 p.m. here. The base figures look quite nice. I really hope Playmates stick with their promise of doing every Ranger. Have they said they'll do every Ranger? I know they're going to concentrate on Mighty Morphin for the next 3 years, but are they going to carry on after that? I've been dying for Mystic Force. Seems like SPD and Dino Thunder gets all the love out of the Disney seasons. I want Ninja Storm. I've been saying it for years, but actually, yeah, Mystic Force. I would take Mystic Force as well, especially if they could do like civilian heads, because those Mystic Force figures that came with the detachable civilian heads, I just cannot find anywhere. I'm thinking about buying the toys, but I've gone off the show, so maybe not, says Max's World. Fair enough, fair enough. These ain't it, says Rowdy Riles. Hasbro abandoned Power Rangers, and this is what's left. I mean, yeah, the Hasbro have kind of thrown in the towel, for want of a better word, but Playmates have kind of stepped up to the mark. Looks like they're giving it a big launch, probably because they're financially invested in a way that I imagine Bandai was back in the day. These boxes, I think you have to give it to these boxes, look phenomenal. Oh, sorry, Goldar. I mean, I've just remarked that for some reason the H isn't there on the Mighty Morphin logo. But overall, I mean, look at this. It's like this jagged lightning effect edge. The Power Rangers helmet, some of you might remember these when Shout Factory did the Steelbook release in the United States a couple of years ago, very limited. All 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the movie came in these beautiful steelbooks using these exact heads. I believe Super Megaforce did a similar helmet effect actually, didn't they, back in 2014 as well? So I'm glad that they've been able to use something so iconic, so instantly recognizable as Power Rangers as part of the packaging. It's bright, it's vibrant, it hopefully appeals to kids. The green is very reminiscent of 90s era Bandai. So it just all works. You've got this cool kind of newer, I think maybe from the Hasbro era photo of the Power Rangers posed together. You've got the story. You've got these cool like Rita's hat symbols that appear by all the villains. It tells you what the figure does. You've got like that grid that shows you everything that's available. Check out the YouTube, check them out on social, check out the website. They're sort of saying we've really tried to deliver this whole full campaign this time. We are on kind of everything that we can be. And in the box you can have a little try me feature. So that is cool, to be fair. You often find with Goldar that the wings are the problem, and it's nice that they've obviously found a way to make it more interesting this time. So let's have a look. Let's get involved. Where did you get these? I ordered some Amazon, but they're not arriving until August, says Dawn of Comics. So I got them in my local Toymaster in the UK. I think in America, a lot of people are finding them in Walmart. That seems to be who's getting the kind of in-store promo displays at the moment. Smith's Toys are meant to be getting them in the UK in August as well as Amazon. So, I mean, they've done a lot to kind of make these toys as accessibly available as they can. It's very funny that they've included this like lightning effect, almost like an ode to Hasbro. But yeah, here's Goldar. Got his sword painted gold. Looks pretty good. Well, it's actually set in gold, but then with a little glint of red in the middle, which I'm not mad about. Should have bought scissors. Okay, getting them out of the box is a challenge. Wow, okay. So the wings are attached, so they don't come off, but obviously the action feature is there, where they kind of rise up if you squeeze his legs. So it does make sense. The arms have nice range of motion articulation. The kind of shoulder pins remind me of Bandai's Action Hero style from 2014. He's got these kind of like separate piece shoulder guard pads, which means that it doesn't limit the articulation in the arms. I do quite like that. How's he stand? Stands perfectly, or at least on a flat surface he does. Let's give him his sword. Good fit on the weapon. There's a head twist. The head sort of has a tiny bit of motion, but obviously isn't designed to be moved. The wings move. One wing stopped working already. This, going back to my comparisons, is my original like season 1 or 2 Bandai Goldar. He's got like a more rubbery sword, which I'm surprised is still in one piece, to be honest. His wings, we used to like kind of hold them back to kind of simulate his season 1 no wing look. In fact, multiple times as a kid, I undid these screws. You can see I've lost one completely and never put it back in, to try and take the wings out from the inside. I don't know why. I love Goldar when he got his wings back, but it was fun to kind of pretend that you had the Rita version and the Z version where he was restored. You see the wings from the Bandai one look a little sad. They just kind of hang back there. The arms are so splayed out horizontally that they kind of get hidden, a little bit obscured. You can like, I think back in the day you could like, pose them up. Now they just kind of flop down, which actually is also happening with my newer Lightning Collection Hasbro version. No, it's not doing it now. I'm trying to prove a point. But yeah, this was obviously probably the nicest action figure Goldar we've ever had. And, it's only a couple of years ago now that we got this. He came with a fully painted sword, or at least I believe the second version without wings did. I've kind of put them together to kind of create this overall, like, final version Goldar. I was never that impressed with the paint job on this Goldar, but actually looking at them all together now, I kind of see what they were going for. The face pops amazingly on the Hasbro version. But actually, it's pretty good as well on the new Playmates version. It's actually the Bandai version which looks the worst. But I mean, well, this is what, like a 93, 94 toy, so it's kind of fair enough. Um, I mean, I will give Bandai 94 props because they had a lot of little tiny paint apps, like little green and red dots around him. His action feature, I think kind of broke, but it had like a little pull tab here, and I think this arm would slash down. Maybe I should actually unscrew him again and work out if I can repair it. But yeah, at least this one has something that incorporates the wings. It's subtle, but hey, I didn't even realize until just now that Goldar even had an action feature. Obviously, the Lightning Collection one didn't have any action feature, but it does have significantly more posability, including the ability to like fold the wings in a bit more. I like that, like a bit more like, like the movie version where they're a bit more like angled as that. So yeah, so I think that what we're going to discover across this process, as often we do with different budget level of toys, is that the one for collectors is still the one for collectors, but hopefully the Playmate stuff kind of gives you a run for its money in how much they're asking for it. These were £11 figures, which in this economy, in this day and age, is pretty good. I mean, I don't understand how Power Rangers have managed to kind of keep their figures around the £10 mark for like the best part now of like 12 years. I mean, it did seem like they managed to keep them at the £5 mark for about 20 years, before they just suddenly like ballooned to £10 overnight. But yeah, it's good that they've been able to kind of keep it around that, because I think that's probably still the kind of social cultural limit of what an acceptable amount for an action figure is, especially in a line where off the bat you're asking people to buy 10 figures. £100 like straight away. So there's Goldar. Quite happy with him. Obviously, he's got this like lightning piece. I never liked them in the Lightning Collection, so I'm not expecting to like them now. Okay, it's like an ice cream cone. Bradley's Game Room. I do like how they went with the darker gold. The lightning figure was way too bright. Lol. Yeah, I kind of tend to agree. There's elements of it that I like, but I remember it feeling quite cheap gold. But equally, this now feels too dark. So it's interesting that they've gone back to the kind of Bandai original days of the darker gold. Yeah, it's interesting. If I had if I had more kind of a stream prowess, I'd do a poll on what kind of variation of the gold you guys prefer. But feel free to share in the chat. So, will that stay put? Probably. There's our Goldar. I feel like we've got to do Rita next, haven't we? So, Rita, you can actually try through the box, a bit like you can with the Automorphins. She's not really doing a great deal there. She's just kind of like lifting her arm. It's called Spell Cast in Action, and they've illustrated it on the box with the effects piece, so that's quite a cool idea. Rita was imprisoned by Zordon in a space dumpster for over 10,000 years. Now free, she's determined to take over Earth, but finds herself time and time again foiled by the Power Rangers. Evil Sorceress, World Dominator, Weapons Magic Wand, Psychic, Goldar. So, yeah, and again, leading images on there. I wonder if they'll keep that around if they get into like Lord Zed and the Season 2 stuff. How do you guys open boxes, by the way? This feels like maybe the best I've done in a while. Hey, Rita. Oh, accidentally separated a head from a body. Interesting. I wonder if there'll eventually be a Kimberly head that we can put on here. Alright, how are we going to get you out? God, why do they do this? Like, it's already in a sealed box. Why does it need multiple things like that. Okay, Rita. So, those of you familiar with the Rita action figure saga will remember that back in the days of Mighty Morphin airing, for 3 whole years, like we got what, like 150-ish episodes of Power Rangers where Rita was kind of one of the lead villains. Maybe, well, less, obviously, she got put back in the dumpster by Zeb for a while. But she came back. She endured. She was played by 3 actresses from the Zoo Ranger footage, from the Power Ranger series actress, is it Carla Perez? And then by the actress that they had play her in the movie, but always voiced by the one and only Barbara Goodson, even in the Once and Always Robo Rita special. So Rita, absolute hallmark of Power Rangers, as important, as Zordon. Sleeves look like putty fists. Yes, they kind of do. Yeah, it was so strange that we never got Rita as an action figure. I believe there was one planned, but Bandai just never saw it through to completion. I think maybe they'd worked out that the girl figures weren't selling as much. So Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin came and went. We got Zed. We got her dad. We got her brother. We never got Rita. That was until, and I got the box out for this, Power Rangers Samurai gave us our first ever Rita Repulsa figure back at the end of 2010, was it? Kind of a weird wave. I think it was around the time that the secret Lauren Red Ranger was around. Not even the Super Samurai as well, like the actual regular Samurai. And it's rough, guys. I mean, it's 4 inch because at the time Bandai were doing the 4 inch scale for Samurai and then Megaforce. A short-lived 3-year scale change, probably the worst scale they've ever done. So Playmates don't get any ideas. You can see there's such limited detail on this thing. Like there is no expression. I mean, the only good thing is this could be any Rita from any of the million varieties that played her, because it is just so generic. It could be anyone. Um, and then Hasbro came in, and admittedly, they did too. The first one looked less kind of perfect. It was still good. It was still an obvious improvement on this, but it was nowhere near the remastered Rita that they kind of ended the run on and celebrated the 30th anniversary with. This one had a much like more billowy like dress thing, sleeves with a bit more kind of punch to them. The staff had a lot more detail painted on. The face plates are interchangeable. They included 3 in the packaging. Those are more gold kind of painted, more detail painted in. This is the best Rita, again, like the Goldar that we've ever had. And now we have Playmates, and Playmates are really trying to like split the difference, because if this was like a 35 quid figure and this was like like a kind of 5 quid figure, I can't remember, 10 quid figure, they need to kind of come in somewhere in between, and they've managed to do it for £11 in 2025. And this is pretty impressive. Ooh, it looks like her arm both gets stuck, but also can maybe twirl the stuff. So odd that the show in the pick on the box for the T-Rex Zord a sticker on the head, but they didn't put it. Oh, okay. Thanks, Bradley's Game Room, for that. Yeah, I think like I wonder if they're going to like do an updated set of the dinosaurs, or maybe an all-in-one box set Megazord, because it looks like there's quite a bit that could be improved for those. Yeah, so here is kind of, I would say here is the version of Rita that we should have got back in the 90s, or at least uh, this kind of style. Obviously, it would have been different from Bandai back then. But wow, like even the staff, like they've done so well to like paint like in multiple colors, more colors than Bandai did back in 2010. Less colors than Hasbro just did a couple of years ago for the 30th. But again, it's a given. This is a remastered collector figure. This is like a basic kids line action figure, and it still is kind of holding its own with a spinning staff. Let's try it with the magic spell effect. How do you like get it to hold it? The staff looks better. Weird. I think I'll stick with the staff. So yeah, so this was fine at the time. We took it because we had nothing to compare it to. This was a great improvement on everything that had come before, including the one that they'd done as the Rita Z 25th Silver Wedding Anniversary 2-pack. And now this from Playmates allows kind of new people to just get started with the episode 1 like boss. Like she's kind of all over the first 60 episodes of Power Rangers, and then she comes back mid-season 2 and stays till the end of the series at the end of season 3, as well as being in the motion picture movie. You need Rita. So the fact that we went this long really without one ever being part of a basic assortment of figures is just a wrong that Playmates have righted from day one. They could have skipped this and gone, "Oh, I'm not sure about female figures, you know, and like all the signs are there that they don't sell." But no, they've kind of stuck to the guns and they've given us the boss. So I think that is again a good win. And then we've got putties. You see, I've got 2. I tend to like to have 6 of these things, but for now, I've just got 2. And the figure has a very fun action feature. It's called head spinning action. Not seen that before on a putty. It wouldn't make sense really on any other figures from the line. So I'm very pleased that we've got something unique and that actually suits a putty. All right, let's get in to the putty then. Oh, let's see as well, what do they say about him? So this group of mindless clay creatures was created by Finster to serve Rita Repulsa in her conquest of the galaxy. The putties, as Finster calls them, appear when needed out of small batches of clay. Once they are full size, they fight aggressively, viciously, and stupidly. But what they lack in smarts, they make up in numbers. Let me just read the Goldar one, because I don't think I've ever read the Goldar one. So Goldar is a humanoid ape who has an unwavering allegiance to Rita Repulsa. Unlike many other henchmen, Goldar is one of the few who is capable of holding his own against the entire Power Rangers team. With his magic sword and Rita's growth magic, he can become a real problem for our heroes. Okay, not doing as well. What's the chat saying? Megazord. So Marlon says the Megazords kind of get my attention due to the missile firing features. Maybe I'd purchase them if a sticker pack becomes available. So I don't love the missile firing features. I think it kind of, it's obvious that they're appealing to a younger crowd, but it's obviously come at the expense of screen accuracy, which is a shame because you know we're kind of used to Megazord looking a certain way, and by doing those missile firing actions, especially on the Triceratops Sabertooth Tiger legs, it looks like something's missing when you see the Megazord all put together. So I'm kind of hoping that someone like either paints them or like does a 3D printed version, or maybe Playmates again does a box set which replaces them with what's supposed to be there. Alio Convoy, man, the UK got these before Texas did. Lol. Do the putties have the pentacle on the belt buckle? Yes, they do. It's quite faint, but it is there. When did Goldar have a magic sword? Wow. Okay, now his hand has come off. I'm reminded again of Lightning Collection. Oh, I've done it twice. Okay. Sorry, Rita. Come on. Okay. Nearly through. Lio Convoy. I actually don't mind the gimmicks. The new Megazord is big and makes all the clicky clacky noises. I wonder. if it's the same size as the classic Voltron. That would be interesting to find out. I mean, that was one of my criticisms of the Zap, that it was missing the satisfying, like, clicky ratcheting joints that Bandai's versions gave us. So it is good that they brought that back. It does feel more solid as a toy because of that. And so yeah, I think that's something that is enjoyable as a kid. As simple as it sounds, like having a toy that kind of ratchets and makes extra sound as you play with it, and not in an I'm breaking it kind of way, was definitely something that I appreciated about Bandai's Megazords. And here's the Putty. That is so fun. Love it. So you probably saw there, the hands come off just as simply as the Hasbro figure ones did, and that's because the accessories for the putties, much like the Lightning Collection, aren't to give him weapons to hold, but are actually to give him hands to swap out. Because in the show, the putty kind of is able to like simulate weapons out of the clay that it's made of. So where are we with putties? Now, back in the day, we never got a putty. They skipped straight to Super Putty. And again, this was around 94, around the time of that original Goldar. And I loved this thing. We only ever had one, and we just would play with it every time we played Power Rangers because every fight would start with the putties. And this one had like a cool Z effect in the chest. It had like a weapon. I think it had two weapons. I think the other one was an axe, so that could be somewhere. Very limited articulation here. The arms are kind of constantly splayed out. But, if the Rangers were to hit them in the Z, it would implode like three ways. Unfortunately, the legs didn't pop out, but that was enough to kind of simulate what we got on the show, which was that the putties could be destroyed just by hitting the Z. For some reasons, or Zed kind of did like a Death Star thing where the vulnerability was right there in the middle. So we were very used to not having putties back in the day, or the originals. It wasn't actually until the 2010 toy line, remember the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers remastered in 2010, when Bandai kind of righted that wrong and gave us the putty figures. And this was a very simple figure. I can't remember if he had any weapons or not, but I do remember him coming with the Blade Blaster combined form in black and the Thunder Slinger, like one singular Thunder Slinger, because the Power Blaster weapons that came with the 2010 4-inch figures couldn't combine. So that looks to be another thing that hopefully Playmates have resolved just like from the outset. Um, um, and this was it. It was like Rita, very simple. There was a 2010 Goldar as well, but I don't actually have that. Big, huge clay hands. Fine. I did buy like two. I think two of these when they were they made available again during Megaforce or something. I think I might have got them in the Megaforce 20th anniversary branding. They must have had a lot of these left over because they were anticipating people would army build. And actually, Playmates have applied the same logic to this because, there's pretty much as many putties in the box, if not more so, than Rita and Goldar, as there should be. I think, most people, most collectors especially, are going to want multiple putties. So we went from the wrong putty to the small putty to the Lightning Collection putty. And this was brilliant. So Hasbro first included a putty with the Tommy Fighting Spirit 2-pack. Obviously, people didn't want to have to buy a million Green Rangers just to get their putty army. And I guess Hasbro knew this as well because they promptly followed it up with a 2-pack of putties. And the only differences between the three figures that were officially released are the chest striations. So there's three different patterns to look out for out there. So I've got like how many packs did I buy? I ended up buying like 3 multi-packs. So I've got like 3 of each design, and I've got like one figure where it's only got the chest pattern once because that's from the Fighting Spirit pack. It means I've got 7 putties, which is random. But I mean, if they're gonna, have a kind of Boom Comics inspired battle against all 7 colors of Mighty Morphin, then maybe it makes more sense. And this one did have the belt symbol kind of painted in quite nicely. again for the first time. So this time we've reversed it. We've gone black belts with a silver kind of centerpiece. Is that more accurate? Someone will let us know. Obviously, this time there looks to be only like one variation of the chest striations across what Playmates have done so far. But I don't mind it actually. I think that's pretty representative of what a putty was. Obviously, the Bandai 2010 and 2013 re-release were the same. They had 2 and 1, but this is just 1 and 1. So good posability. Cool that as well that they kind of are riffing off the Hasbro version, which always again look too bright. This looks like the perfect shade of grey for the putty. And they painted the face this time, which was something that Hasbro didn't actually get around to until the Super Putty releases that followed. And Hasbro can't do this, but they can do the change in hands. So you can just pop these off, I guess. And whether you want him to have a blade in a hand or the ball in the hand, or both weapons at once, kind of making the more formidable version of a putty. This is pretty cool. It's it's probably one of the least impressive figures because it's just like this literal grey blob. But if you want like an army for your Power Rangers to fight, this is kind of the one to go for, and hopefully there'll be some like discounts on putties at some point because that's really when army building comes into its own. I've seen that they're going to be doing a Automorphin Red Ranger and Putty 2-pack as well. That reminds me a bit of that Fighting Spirit Tommy. I guess it's because once you've got one putty, you want a lot more. So yeah, that's where we are with the putties. And yeah, it's very fun to kind of see the history, the lineage of putties kind of represented here. Well, that one should be there technically. Yeah, let's ignore the super putty for now because it's technically the wrong character. But yeah, we've had a lot of putty action since 2010, and now here we are, 15 years on from that, and possibly with the best kind of action figure version so far. I would maybe hasten to add. These were great. Like these are great in the terms of being in scale with Lightning Collection, apart from the unpainted face. But this kind of gets the job done in one, in a really impressive way. So I think surprisingly, this might be my kind of my favorite of the three because it's one where I'm like, yeah, I think this one probably is the best of or could be the best of all the other versions. The others have these little caveats where it's like, they're good for their price. This one I feel like it's good just overall. These felt very overpriced for what they were, whereas this like is the perfect striking of the balance. So yeah, so that is where we are at the moment with Power Rangers Reignition. So we've got these kind of 5-inch style figures of Rita, Goldar, and the Putty. How's the Putty's standing ability? Not as easy as the others. Let's rescind that best ever figure claim. Oh no, it's fine. So I've seen who was it on Instagram that has already removed the feet from Rita because they don't like to see them sticking out from under the dress. But I mean, I think I'm fine with it. I think I'm just going to leave mine like that. Goldar, I feel like the sword looks better without the lightning effect on. So 5-inch figures, obviously a Power Rangers hallmark, and going back to Mighty Morphin, that was kind of what we got with the original Bandai Automorphins. And so what I'm really interested in is, do these work as a completion for the figures that we never got? And we had a lot of figures which I imagine Playmates are going to do again. We had Lord Zed, and how does this one compare? Because the 2010 was way too short. These two actually look pretty good together. And I imagine Playmates are probably going to do something impressive with their Lord Zed if and when they do one as well. I mean, we had Master Vile, we had Rita's dad, and we didn't even have Rita. And now we can kind of put them together. We had Rita's brother, And this was an obvious like miss from the Lightning Collection. They should have done a Rita Repulsa where this was a bit more, skeleton-like, not just white. I would have loved like they could have thrived with this kind of detail in a collector's line, but alas, it was not to be. But again, like these all, I mean, he's on the lower stoop there, but you get the point. Like these now can fill in the gaps for what Bandai never could do. And if you've seen what was announced at the Toy Fair by Playmates, it looks like Squat and Babu should be coming as well. So if they can kind of give us those two, which again never came in the Lightning Collection, and who knows if they could maybe even do Scorpina, then finally, 32 years on, there's going to be a way to get all of the Moon Gang. And who knows, maybe improvements will come to the ones that we only had Bandai versions of. So for me, that's the big excitement in this line, because even though they're not collector figures, there is a way here for collectors to get some value out of them, because they can fill in the holes in your collection that were just ominously left there by the previous, company. So here's an original Automorphin Ranger, the original head sculpt from Jason. Who remembers that? I have got the blasters, but they always just fall out. And again, I was very curious how these scale with these new figures, because I feel like this could be a way to kind of bring everything together, the Bandai and the new Playmate stuff. And I'm digging that. I think that's quite a cool way of doing it. Oh, Bradley's game room. Oh, the new flips are just not it. This is the issue. Like, let's be fair. This isn't a great sculpt either. But of the three versions there have been from Bandai, from Hasbro, and now from Playmates, I kind of prefer this. And that could just be nostalgia talking. And the new Playmates ones, they morph back. You don't have to do it manually. But I hate like this weird thing that they've got sticking out here and here. Like they look like a bag of potatoes. Whereas these just have that kind of, 90s winningness to it, as well as a kind of more different era of plastic, I guess. So for me, I'm looking at filling in the gaps for the villains, because I already had all of the Rangers. And here's what I mean with the Tommy Weird shield. Obviously, back then it was a two combining separate piece thing. No headband around this Tommy, but it did the job at the time. Now Rita gets her Green Ranger. I think that's pretty cool. What do you guys think? Now, I'm not saying you have to resort back to Bandai's flip heads from 93, 94, because obviously there were other versions. Back in 2014, Bandai did the Action Hero mold, back at 5 inches tall. This was, I think, in some ways, some of the best versions of Power Rangers that we had at the time. This is actually from the regular line that I've put in an armored red box, by the way, so no, you didn't miss a release. Now, these were obviously a lot shorter than the Automorphins, but they had kind of better sculpts, more detail, painted weapons that combined into the Power Blaster, just to be fair, so can these. So I actually quite liked a lot about these figures. And again, they even did, where is he? They even did Lord Zed again. So, although there was probably kind of nothing wrong with the old 94 Lord Zed, even as late as 2014, Bandai was still kind of had him on the brain. And we know that Hasbro did as of Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury. Yeah, so these were the kind of 2014 variations, and I wondered how these are going to scale with the new Playmates stuff, because I mean the Playmates are doing figures quite similar to these coming soon, which do look good. I am very kind of interested in them, but how do these compare? Again, that looks great. Like these two could literally be on the Moon Palace, like chilling. Lord Zed could maybe do with being like a hair bigger, but that's so good. Okay, wow, they're like really comparable. I would have eaten it up if they'd done a 5-inch putty back in 2014, and I wouldn't have to have bought those 2010, 2013 re-releases of them. Obviously, going to be shorter than the Automorphins, so make of that what you will. And then I just wanted to bring in the remastered Red Ranger from the Lightning Collection, 30th anniversary of Mighty Morphin, just to show that, again, this is going to be too big. He kind of towers over everyone. Let me get these down a bit. He's just too big. He's not going to scale right with the Putty or with Goldar. Or with the new Rita. These are such fantastic figures, but a lot of their scale is already complete. We do have obviously the collector's Rita to kind of go against him. So it would have been nice to have completed more of the Lightning collection, and hopefully, I'll always hope that Hasbro one day go back to it, however thin that chance is. There's a lot of great stuff that works together from this line already. But we're going to have to, like we've done for many years while the Lightning Collection was happening, kind of put these on a pedestal. We're going to have to shelve the Lightning Collection for now, because it looks like we're going back to the 5-inch scale. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Is I'm thinking that all of the 5-inch stuff from both like Bandai's original and legacy-ish runs are going to work so perfectly with these. It's very exciting. I think like if you're not into what they've done for the Automorphins, and obviously we've got a bit of a wait, a bit of a stopgap until the action figure versions come, then look at the villains and look at combining your collections and really kind of realizing a broader kind of diorama style display, because you know this is the chance to kind of go back and fill in the gaps. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I'm going to check on the chat, you guys. Wow, there's a lot in here. Juan Carlos Marquez, I think if they really want a 2-pack with the putties, it would make sense to pack them with a unique enemy, like Rita coming with a putty. Oh, interesting. Hopefully, do you mean like Rito? Rito and a putty? That would work. Hopefully, in the future, we'll get Madame Woe, Shell Shock, and Mutus for the MMPR reignition line by Playmates. That would be so awesome. Says Kiru Godzilla 1. Can you put the putties side by side to the scale? Dawn of Comics. How they scale against the Lightning Collection. Hopefully, you said that before I held all 4 of them up. God, I'll be in a close second. I wish Hasbro had continued with the remastered line. That line was great. Says Leo Convoy. Completely agree. Like again, would love it if that resumed somehow one day. I'd be there. The new the hinge on the outside throws the look off of the new Automorphin. Says Bradley's game room. Yeah, I know. The tactile feel is an issue with the new stuff too. The original Automorphins were made of ABS plastic. The new stuff is made with PVC. Your hands can tell the difference even if your brain don't. It's true. I mean, look how shiny the original Automorphins still are now, 32 years later. They feel kind of brittle. They feel like if you were to drop them on like a hard ground, then they'll probably break something off. Whereas the new version toys, you don't really get that feeling. Like it's a lot more just like the newer, safer version, I guess, of plastic. But that's not to say it doesn't matter. It isn't duller. it just is. It's been 32 years, hasn't it? It's things have changed in the toy industry that unfortunately it doesn't look like we are able to go back to. So you just have to kind of decide if you want to kind of go with it, or just kind of stick with what you've got. For me, I'm thinking overall picture, maybe it's worth having two different materials as long as they line up together in terms of scale. Dawn Comics, I'll have to Squat and Baboo in the background, so the scale isn't too obviously different. I was thinking the exact same thing when they first got announced. I thought, excellent, I'm going to buy Squat and Baboo, and that'll be it. And now look, so it's one thing kind of in planning. It's another thing entirely when you're kind of given the option. Sculpt's good. I'd pay $5 more for detailed paint, says Bradley's Game Room. Marlon says, I couldn't care less about the Thunder bikes. So they are going to do the Red Ranger Dino bike, aren't they, with a kind of weird acrobatic flip function. So that is interesting. There's obviously no sidecar this time, or side cannon for the Red Ranger. So it's not going to be the same as the Bandai versions. Although the Bandai versions, there was never really a lot of figures that were compatible with it. There was obviously the original 4-inch plastic figures, but they kind of, I think, were brought over from Japan, from the Zyuranger line. They were not kind of available as extensively as obviously what happened with the flip heads, the Automorphins, but then the Automorphins don't fit on the bikes. These kind of 2014 versions do fit on the bikes, but the girls, because they have, well, the Pink Ranger, because she has her skirt, can't sit in the sidecar. So, there's a pros and cons. So we'll see kind of what Hasbro figure out with the bikes. For me, bikes have never really been that important. They've just always been something else. But it's always been Zords and then figures and then the morphers for me. Here's the 2014 Action Hero Green Ranger. So how does he look beside Rita? Not bad. Maybe a little short, but not bad really. Let's bring in Automorphin Green. I feel like that works a bit better, although obviously a lot more retro in the dimensions than the 2014 did. But not bad, not bad. Oh, sorry, Zach. Okay, so I think that's it. I think that's going to be it for this live stream. So what do you guys think then of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Reignition? I think it's a very exciting time if you just want to kind of get into some casual Power Ranger collecting at the moment. Obviously, it's not Lightning Collection. It's not going to scale with what we've had up until 2023, but it's aligned for kids. I mean, it literally says 4+ on the box. However, there are, as I've hopefully proven to you here, there are kind of advantages of maybe buying at least a couple of them, because even back in the 90s, we never got everything completed, and that was even when the show was airing. So it's kind of both the blessing and the curse of this kind of rich franchise having so many characters and so many variations of monsters and heroes and villains and all the rest of it. It's nice that in some weird nostalgic way that we've been able to come back to this, and in some ways kind of finish off a problem that we were kind of left on the shelf with all those years back. So and Bradley says that's a great point, toy versus collectible. Yeah. I mean, all the collectible stuff looks great together. All the action figure basic stuff is also going to look pretty good together. So that's where we are with the new stuff, and let's go forward and see what happens next. Thank you very much for watching as ever. Do subscribe to the channel if you've never seen me before, and thank you if you already are. Coming up, if you're interested, I'm currently working on my Dino Charge Lightning Collection team review. So that's going to be the last kind of regular team of Rangers that we're going to be looking at as part of the Lightning Collection before we eventually move on to the Boom Studios stuff. Also going to be looking at the Power Rangers SPD Deluxe Zords and retro reviews. Can you believe that we're up to series 13? That's wild that we've done so many Deluxe Zord reviews. apart from obviously the series I don't buy. And then some other exciting stuff, which I won't go into just yet. But the thing I can say, because it's already been announced on my last video, is that there's still 2 parts to come for my Power Rangers, the movie trilogy. The next part is going to be looking at all the merch that has come since the movie came out in '95. So look forward to that. And thanks again, guys, for being here. Thanks for staying with us. Marlon says it there perfectly. May the power protect you, Power Ranger Tooth, and to you guys as well. So until the next time,